I got arrested. We built a huge company of stores and grows. We had 16 retail locations, 7 grow operations, and they said we broke the law by doing more than one transaction per day to the same person, even though that was the way the law was written. So I was fine on the black market. And then I thought I was good on this market. We were like #1 in Colorado, set all the sales records. I won Cannabis Executive of the Year, and then state didn't love that. We were like too high profile, I guess.
What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Be Frank podcast. Today we're gonna talk about a lot about cannabis industry and then also like how to manage people, but also like there's a couple like a personal stories to share. So if you guys are interested in that this episode might be good for you. And then welcome to special guest,
I'm from the Bay Area.
a Bay Area.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Very different from Southern California, NorCal.
Really?
Very different.
What's the difference?
NorCal's beautiful
Yeah.
and mountainous. You got Tahoe, you got the coastlines.
Yeah.
Southern California has nice beaches, but all you have is traffic and highways and people. In
Yeah.
LA, I'm not a real big fan of LA, so
Yeah.
yeah.
LA is kind of like a huge and city like, and it's also like kind of dirty.
It's very dirty. California is very dirty, and it pains me to say that, but it's a fact.
But it's like did the C300 running too? Oh, okay. So, but anyways, I think that it's so funny. Like LA people have so proud of their beautiful weather, beautiful scenery, but it's LA inside LA, like it's just like kind of dirty. Yeah, for sure.
Not for me.
Yeah.
You want to go to San Diego and La Jolla and Carlsbad?
Yeah.
I could do that.
Yeah.
I could live down there. That would be a place for me.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, thanks for coming. But I mean, honestly, like you say you're from LA, but you went to Colorado, right?
Yes.
So what was the decision to go to Colorado?
So I kind of just followed my older brother.
Yeah.
He went to Boulder. He's 2 years ahead of me in school. And so he was out there. I wanted to get out of California. I'm not super into living in California. It's like a cool place to be from. And there's a lot of swag and culture and all that, but not a great place to live. And Boulder is amazing. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's
I've been
pretty much paradise, and like it's against a mountain.
Yeah.
And there's beautiful people everywhere. And the college is, really good school.
Yeah.
So I went to school for accounting.
Mm-hmm.
They got a great business program. So I felt really comfortable there. I had a bunch of friends from like my friend group in high school go there.
Uh-huh.
So there's kind of like 5 or 6 of us that went out there. It was really fun.
Got you.
Yeah.
So like whenever you went to Colorado, was that like you went to like for like school and everything, did you think about starting cannabis business too, or?
I mean, I sold weed in college. I sold weed in high school.
Okay.
So I guess I didn't think that would be my end goal in life or something that was even as possible.
Yeah.
But I was always doing it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a side hustle. I would work at restaurants, both in Boulder and then around the Denver area at like nice restaurants and sell weed. And so I liked working and I liked like selling weed to people because it's super fun and you get to meet tons of awesome people.
Yeah.
So that was kind of always on the side. When I graduated, I went, thought I was going to go a more traditional route. I worked for Philip Morris, like Marlboro cigarettes, for like 6 months, and it was terrible. Really? Absolutely terrible.
You're selling cigarettes?
Doing, like account management, not as much like branding and advertising, but they kept coming out with new brands during the time, like 27s, 72s, all the short, new, cool ones were invented when I was there. But I really hated it.
Yeah.
And it was very corporate.
So that
and
was
just kind of like, evil. And like they would call them sticks and units. And it's like, you're killing people and it's on the box. And it was, kind of like working for the man.
Yeah.
And I've always been like, non-working for the man because my dad worked for the government his whole life, and I the American government's in my mind, I'm not like a conspiracy person, but they're not like friendly to the middle class and under anymore. I think that's pretty clear with the prices on everything, but I didn't want to work for the man, and I just kind of just was like, let's go with it. And then I hated it, and I kind of found a buddy that got me into real estate. and we did like fix and flips,
Uh-huh.
except we would grow there as well.
Yeah.
So while we were fixing it, we would grow a cycle, pay for all the repairs, and then kind of, sell it in 6, 8 months. So we did
Huh.
that for a while, back when you could get like no income verification loans.
What's that?
It's where you don't need any paperwork, and they're like, okay, here's a mortgage. And they would just give it to you if you had good credit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
So,
interesting.
yeah,
That was before legalization?
that was before legalization. That was
Oh,
like '06, around there, 2006.
so what was like a change into like before like a legalization, after legalization? Like what is like a change?
It went out of the houses into like bigger and bigger buildings.
Like
Uh,
so whenever you guys is doing that stuff or like selling the cannabis on the outside, and then then whenever it became legal, like what was like went through your head? Like is that like, oh, this is finally I can do legally, or like is that like oh no, it's more competition or whatever? Like what was your went through?
I thought right away, finally, I can do it legally.
Yeah.
I'm not much on like competition. I'm pretty much, if anyone else can do it, I know I can do it.
Right.
So I thought, okay, a bunch of people are going to do it. Like we're going to kill this.
Yeah.
So, it was pretty straightforward. We had the confidence from just being on like the old market or the black market or legacy market, we're going to call it.
Legacy market. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
So they call it legacy growers, like from the old days. But that's 2005 or something, so it's not that old.
Yeah.
But it started with the transition where you could be a caregiver to patients. So it was
Mm.
very honest and open and forthright. You actually dealt with people who had cards one-on-one
Mm.
before the dispensaries were the physical storefront locations.
Mm.
So that transition to then a store would have a bunch of patients, and that's how much they could grow, however many patients they had in their little collective.
Huh.
And
Interesting.
then it transitioned to, okay, there's no limits on what you can have or grow. And then, but you still need a medical card and to see a doctor.
Gotcha.
And then it changed to adult use, anyone over 18.
Oh,
So we
gotcha.
were in Colorado, in the first real market to transition through those phases. California had a program a long time ago,
Yeah.
but never went rec till much later.
Huh.
So
That is very interesting. So like whenever like a transition was like a kind of easy for you guys.
it really was, I
Yeah.
feel like I was suited for it because I had a business degree, and you have to know business once you get a rent, triple net, insurance,
Right.
payroll.
Right.
You can't not know the business side when you're running an operation.
Yeah.
And you have employees.
Yeah.
Because you're fiduciary responsibility, right?
Right.
You need to know what you're doing. So
Yeah.
I felt like I was custom because I was in the weed culture and I love it. I worked in restaurants, like ran restaurants.
Yeah.
So I'd do like the back of the house and then be
Yeah.
a waiter or busboy. And so I thought it was a natural transition
Yeah.
because it's just basically having like a quick restaurant, like a fast service restaurant
Yeah.
with a ton of SKUs, and you have to manage your back of the house inventory, and
Yeah,
it's the
that's
same
awesome.
thing.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because a lot of people who are have like a successful business feels like they have done like a multiple stuff, because I think like about business owner or like being a leader, like I heard it once that you have to be a conductor, and then conductor like like in the orchestra playing that like orchestra music, but conductor is a person who can play every instrument so that they can just know what they're doing. They're maybe not the best of playing violin or whatever, but they know every single thing of what they do so that they can have a actual group playing for you. So that's why I thought that's interesting. You're saying like, yeah, you did all bunch of different stuff, construction side of things, growing side of things for yourself, and then running a business, went to business, and so you knew all the aspect of it. So I thought that's interesting. Like a lot of success people do that,
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it was all in one day. You'd like at 6, you'd go water the plants.
Yeah.
At 8, you'd go check in at the store.
Yeah.
Then you'd go run errands out into the world, get construction materials for the projects, check in
Yeah.
on projects, and then I'd go home and shower, put on a suit,
Yeah.
go to the bank with the money and stuff. So
Yeah.
it was a whole like big production really
Yeah, for
to do a
sure.
business like
Yeah.
one man as
Yeah.
like a leader of a cannabis company. I give a shout out to all the people who do it well, tried it, didn't do it well. It's super hard to like juggle all those hats,
Yeah.
and then not be treated fairly like by contractors or the state or
Right.
pay extra taxes,
Yeah.
not being able to deduct things on your taxes,
Right.
with the IRS. So it's brutal out there for cannabis owners.
Oh yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
how do you explain what do you do, and then like maybe like people who are listening, they don't know about you, what you say, like what you do today.
I help cannabis companies grow and brand and improve their systems within the organization to grow from a small level to a medium level and hopefully set a course to a large scale, something that's, scalable between states or, in a state and a large level, whether it be the dispensaries, the grow side, the lab. I just basically manage the day to day operations and help Wes and Johnny and Omid and Josh move the brand forward a little bit, do some branding for neighborhood, and yeah, that's about it.
Evoke too, right?
Evoke a little bit. I just handle some back of the house stuff for Evoke. Yeah,
That's
Josh and
awesome.
them got it on lock.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so what do you think about like Oklahoma? I mean, you guys are killing it. You guys are being successful. You guys are growing, and then no pun intended. But like I just like, what do you think about Oklahoma cannabis? I mean, like whenever I talk to different people, Oklahoma area, that they're like, well, this is tough economy, and everybody's going down, shutting the dispensary everywhere. What do you think about Oklahoma market right now?
it's tough, but everywhere's been that way. After a certain point in time, the regulators want to
Mm,
see less to manage because every license they have to manage is 5 calls to them about something and emails and stuff and 5 places to go visit to inspect. And so they'd rather see bigger players
mm,
that they can check in on. They know they have systems and procedures and HR and, they pay their employees legally. It's all done above board, right? So they have a metric tracking system that you have to enter all your data,
mm.
plants, customers, all the products in between, and it should seed to sale show what you're doing.
Right.
A lot of people misuse it and whatever, but the idea of it is to be traceable throughout the product life from
Got
the
you.
seed to when you sell it in a bag or in a pen or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So whenever you have like your job that like whenever like they offer you, right? Like say like what do you look for? Say like because your job, what you said about is like a small company to mid-size to the bigger company, right?
sure.
Like is there like I'm pretty sure you turned down a couple different things too, right? Or like how do you how do you see, oh, this small company have a potential? Like what's
Oh, they have a great team.
okay?
First of all, they had a good infrastructure set up already.
Yeah.
They were just missing some organizational stuff
Mm,
and mainly the employee communication and leadership
mm,
is something that I helped out a lot with getting all the HR stuff handled, having conversations with people, firing the appropriate people, hiring a bunch of new people to be on the team that want to be there. That's kind of always takes place in these like situations where a company's trying to grow. There's usually some people that want to have it remain the same
yeah.
because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
But to really, especially in cannabis, you have to be evolving and pivoting and making sure you're staying on the sharp end of the sword, right?
Right.
Because it is hard. So you have to be innovative. You have to be efficient. All the things that you think about, like with manufacturing businesses.
Yeah.
So
So do you think that like because I've been seeing like a different market, different states get legalized in the different times, right? And then what? Because we do have a bunch of cannabis clients in the out of state, outside of Oklahoma, and then for example, New Mexico got legalized like last year, and then they're like opening and all that kind of stuff, and then they're like a pound, like price per pound is like high and all that kind of stuff, and then like I can see the trend of okay, year two they're kind of cutting down, it's kind of going through the same cycle. Do you think that you know what Colorado went through, LA went through, and then coming to Oklahoma went going through. Like every state has like a same cycle as a cannabis as a market, or like it's just like a different every state.
It's the same cycle at different levels
Yeah,
based on, it's more expensive in California, so their level went down pretty quickly.
yeah,
It went from 2 to 16 to 12.
yeah,
In Colorado, it went 2, 18, 16, 14, so it was a little more gradual.
yeah,
But everywhere that I've seen,
yeah,
there becomes good producers
yeah.
of cannabis, and the demand is only growing fractionally, whereas the supply grows
Got you.
more than that per year.
Makes sense.
So all the good people are successful and have a, plenty of product,
Yeah.
and the consumers use X plus a little bit each year.
What is the like can you kind of tell like whenever you go to a new market, okay, this will be successful business. This won't be like is that like just a product itself or but also like organization, right? Like what is like checklist you see what makes like a successful cannabis company?
I mean, most businesses come down to people. You're doing the same thing as everyone else. There's the same genetics out there. There's the same nutrients. There's lights. There's air. It's not different. So
Yeah.
it always comes down to the people
Hmm.
and how quickly you can react, to tough situations, how you can communicate when bad things happen. Are you taking control of every situation you can? Are you passing the buck? Those are things that I look for. Is there any leadership in the building?
Mm.
Um,
Leadership in the building. Like some people leadership is not in the building.
a lot of places leadership's not in the building or
Really?
not in the right hands. Maybe,
Oh.
you'll have a guy that's maybe the head, but he doesn't technically know anything, like we were talking
Oh, gotcha.
about the procedural down below. He just has 5 degrees and is the cousin of the owner.
Oh,
There's a lot
gotcha.
of nepotism
Yeah.
in cannabis because it's usually like families or friends or,
Really?
yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's not like they all just went out and hired from the Fortune 500 Indeed list.
Yeah.
They all knew someone because it was a trust game to begin with. So it was
Oh,
like you
yeah.
knew and we're in the circle of trust.
Yeah,
And
got
then
you.
so they started like together and they get an investor, like two friends that could grow or something.
Oh, yeah, because they have to yeah, they have to have some sort of level of trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the beginning, especially,
Yeah.
it's so a lot of partnerships develop that way and a
Yeah.
lot are still very much that way,
Yeah.
you know. So
Do you think that like a people who are like never grown cannabis like cuz like people who have like grown cannabis before and then they start a business and then because they have a like a head start, right? But like now there's a lot of information out there. Do you think that people who are like, let's say they have like some small business and then they have no cannabis experience, but they started like learning how to do cannabis, grow the cannabis, to run the business, all that kind of stuff, to be entrepreneur in the cannabis industry. Do you think that's possible, or do you think that's like you have to know people like inside, like it's really hard to like start the business in this industry?
of course, I think it's possible.
Yeah.
Yes, it's possible for sure. Is it difficult? Yeah, absolutely. The growth side of it
Yeah.
is very fickle.
Yeah.
It's very ever changing. It's
Yeah.
very dynamic. It changes very quickly from
Yeah.
good to bad,
Yeah.
and it like that. So having to manage date because it's every day of the year. It's like a hospital. It's open 365. The
Yeah.
plants don't care that
Yeah.
it's Christmas. People are going in and checking on them, So if you're ready for that, and a lot
Yeah.
of people aren't, but I do think it's possible. You just have to have a good team. You
Yeah.
definitely can't like hop on it alone and do all the things. You have to have team trust,
Yeah.
somebody, number twos, number threes, leadership,
Yeah.
because there's a lot to get done and it happens quickly and you need to be able to move quickly and agile.
Yeah. I mean, like you mentioned about team a lot, and then like you're very kind and humble, and then like you like whenever I go to film with your places, you're always nice to your team members and all that kind of stuff. Were you always like that, or like did you learn along the way, or like what's like a most thing you care about? Okay, this is the things that like for example for me like I try to do the best is like if I can praise people in front of everybody, And if I have something that complaints, say, I just do it in private. That's just like a big things for me. But is there something like that? And then like I'm curious, how did you, because you're such a trusted from the team, and I can see that. Some clients I go to business, and then some team member is like rolling their eyes or whatever. I can see that, like because if I'm filming, but like
Cameras are on.
but like I see like a lot of team members like trust you, and then like I think respects you. I can totally see that. So I was like, where that come from? You already had it. You like that's a talent you had, or
It comes from like team sports.
yeah,
I just always played team sports, and I was never the biggest or best
a
kid.
football or
Football, basketball, baseball,
yeah.
soccer. I did martial arts my whole life since
Oh,
I was
nice,
about 5 till 15, and then I picked it up later with like the MMA stuff. But that
nice.
was really bad for my body later on. So that stuff is brutal. But I always wasn't the biggest, best, or
Yeah,
baddest kid,
yeah,
but I was the loudest and always a leader about it because I kind of took from day one. I don't know where I picked it up. Some coaches I could name, but uh, when it's team sports, it's like everyone on your team is on your team. You don't get to choose anymore.
yeah,
It's us versus them.
yeah,
And you can either yell at your team and it's going to go worse, or you can, go the other direction. And even when it's going badly,
yeah,
especially when it's going badly,
yeah,
to lean in and, pick people up more.
yeah.
So, and then I saw how that responded, as I was captain of teams and, giving high fives and first one there and, sharing snacks and bubble gum and it's like little stuff.
Yeah,
You do the little things.
little stuff
Little
matters.
stuff matters, like
Yeah,
little pizza parties, stuff like that.
yeah,
Knowing everyone's name matters. I onboard them all and talk to them and first interview them and stuff at right now. So that's really cool to get new members like that.
yeah.
And then, like you said, the praise part is huge. A lot of companies never, ever, ever praise their employees,
Mm.
ever. In cannabis, they don't know anything about like professional leadership, like a management at Apple or a company that has like, a high level HR and leadership at all levels,
Yeah,
or even like a small business that
yeah,
would have 50 employees where these 4 people go through and tell people they're doing a good job, and employer reviews. That's a big deal.
evaluation. Yeah.
Evaluation. A lot of people don't do reviews in the cannabis industry. They're like, how am I doing? And then I'm like, well, you're doing pretty good. And they're like, wow, no one's ever told me that. And so getting in front of people, having conversations and just talking a lot more and being more open, as opposed to when you go in and it's really quiet somewhere, it's hard to work because
Yeah,
and no one knows, like you're on needles and tiptoes. So you got to come in with, to me, the leadership is, courage
yeah,
to be honest
yeah,
when it's going bad, when it's going good. Like, guys, we're getting killed out here.
yeah,
Or, hey, here's the numbers. We're up 30%, quarter over quarter.
yeah,
You guys all should be proud of that.
yeah,
Sometimes I think people internalize success and just talk very little about it, and then
yeah,
they harp on failure.
yeah,
Whereas I think you should, once you fail, like, and that's sports too, like you lose
yeah,
and you move on.
yeah.
And it's that process of like, sometimes I've been on teams that lost a lot, and I thought I was really good and doing a good job, and we still lost. But I was in the Bay Area. It's very competitive, right?
Yeah,
Like some places like Oklahoma football, very competitive.
Yeah.
If you say, oh, I was a quarterback and was the star of an Oklahoma football team, like, you were probably pretty good. You probably had to earn that. You couldn't just like, get that.
yeah,
So coming from the sports and like losing a lot is humbling,
yeah,
but it's also very character building if you can see that.
yeah,
And I mean, I wasn't like amazing at school or anything, but I was pretty good. And
Yeah.
so people were like, okay, he's pretty smart and he's like a leader. So then it kind of snowballed from there, and, had some opportunities and like to walk on and play basketball at places. They're like, you're not going to play, but we'd love to have you around and like on the team, and just like, so
Just a
I
good
didn't take
vibe.
them. Yeah, no, like honestly, they're like, you have a really good vibe, and like you get along with, people from over here, everyone
Yeah.
in between, the
Yeah.
coaching staff, you're very respectful. And so, I kind of just leaned into it and I love it. And then when I got to the point, we started a company. First, it was just me and a buddy. We were growing.
Yeah.
Then we had, me, his brother, my brother, and then his other brother. So we had 5 employees, and we had 8, 10, 12, whatever. It grew from there. At the end, before everything happened in Colorado, I was in charge of like 500 employees, which
Wow.
was like at that point we had HR here, HR assistant, and then me, and we just deal with problems and raises and talks every day. That's all I do all day.
Damn.
So at the end of it, I was like, pretty much my job, all the time is
Yeah.
to just mediate, talk, and just encourage people,
Yeah.
and just really interview them differently during their reviews. Like, where do you want to be in your life?
Yeah.
Like, be someone that they could look at and have answer questions that they may not know about, like taxes, or how do I get a house? How can I own a home, Matt? Like, that's one of the questions I've heard most from like people who are like,
Really?
yeah.
What do you tell them?
I tell them there's absolutely a way. There's a
Okay.
program, there's a lender. Maybe it's not the first one you go to, but
Yeah.
like, I know people who will get you a house.
Yeah.
You have the job. I know you've worked here for 2 years. You have good credit. Like,
Yeah.
there's programs for people, so I tell them it's possible.
Yeah.
I usually tell them anything is possible because I truly believe that.
Yeah.
And, I know you most likely think similarly,
Yeah.
coming from your journey,
Yeah.
that I didn't expect to be where I'm at, and I've lived the craziest life I could imagine. So
Yeah.
for anyone out there, anything is
Man.
possible. I will sit on that one forever.
I mean, I would love to hear that your journey. Like, so, like, why cannabis? Like, why is that passion? Because, like, what you do, I mean, you're successful at what you do. Like, you can do it from any corporation, right? Any organization. But why choose cannabis?
Because it's not there in cannabis. There's great people in
Mm.
HR and great leaders in other like industries.
Yeah.
In cannabis, there's not a ton.
Yeah.
I've been all over, and I've seen a lot of companies
Yeah.
just from the merger and acquisition side, and just opening up in states, and having friends. It's a very tight knit community.
Right.
Even Oklahoma, especially, once they let you in, you're like in
For
the
sure.
community.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of companies, and it's just there's no empathy, there's no caring for your employees, and the good companies that really succeed, a lot of them are better at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, like, so, like, why you are passionate about, like, cannabis? Like, you share the story with me, but if you can.
Coming from, it's always been around. It's in my, like, I grew up in the culture, coming from where I come from. My brother was into it, friends were into it. I was more serious, when I had some issues with addiction, and my brother had some issues with addiction. He got in a motorcycle accident, and he had cancer when he was young, so he'd been on pills, off and on since he was 18.
Mm.
And I just really, everyone kind of felt better with weed. So I know that it worked from the jump. I didn't have any scientific evidence, but
Yeah.
everyone kind of knows the vibe, and it's not a secret.
Yeah.
And I just really loved it. I think it was just, my spot. It's meant to be for me.
Yeah.
I tried other stuff, and I just always came back to it.
Yeah.
And I just still love it. I love it today. I love it, even when bad shit happened, I love it. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like, the cannabis is like there's totally stigma, people. I mean, especially it's surprising to me, like, Oklahoma legalize it, because it's such a Bible Belt state, and
Yeah.
then Texas is not still not like legalized, but might change pretty soon. But it's not. And then, like, honestly, like, for me, like, my best friend, I told you about that.
Mhm.
My best friend, he kind of introduced me to cannabis, and then, like, then, like, me and him, like, kind of were hanging out, and then he had to go to work for some plant industry, like, some chemical plants or whatever, and then they do drug tests, so. I mean, like, it's kind of like his weakness, mine too. But, like, I mean, he couldn't smoke weed anymore, so he started taking different stuff, and then he overdosed and he passed. So, like, for me, like, if cannabis was legalized and then good for the drug test in Texas or in different community, then like, I wish I could have or whatever, like, I can say, but it's always think that way. It would be like, maybe if I could have contributed to somebody to, think about cannabis a different way. And then, like, maybe I should have done it a long time ago, but that was before legalized, in, like, this situation in Oklahoma. I know it was legalized here, but so like I thought about it so many times, and then that's why I like kind of clients that people are like not like just selling to sell, but like people care about just hey, this is like education stuff, and that this is just stigma, and then working towards that. I think it just like for me, my best friend could have not do that, doing hard drugs or whatever, and then people can't say that, But for me, I think there is so many people who are addicted to hard drugs,
Mm.
and then people might say like cannabis is gateway to hard drugs. But like honestly, the cannabis can do the amazing things, and then if they are educated, and then if they are worked on mental health and then all that kind of stuff, and then I don't think they have to do those stuff. And then for me, like if they have possibility of doing that, I think that's what I like doing that. That's why I mean our company have a bunch of cannabis clients that believe on that. And then like I think it's a cool things that to share, and then like I think that's for me is kind of like I'm doing my part. So like I love that whenever we're talking to Sam for the neighborhood and video shoot, and then he was talking about all kinds of stuff. He's still like shy about it, talking on the camera and stuff, but like it just like I love the fact of like, hey, this is just not the pothead and then like sitting on the couch eating Cheetos. That's not
No,
what it is.
no.
So I think I love that things that we're doing, and I think it's just the kind of things that I think that you're saying like, you're helping people and team stuff. It's like you love, what you're doing. And then, of course, we're doing all the business for the financial side of things. But, if we can help people along the way, why not? That's kind of how I feel about it. And then, like, I wonder, like, yeah, those moments, what he will say to me, what I'm doing. And then every time he passed on St. Patrick's Day. So like I get like super drunk on St. Patrick's Day. but
I know that one. Yeah, yeah.
but like, I mean like thankful to my girl uh last year, like she said like, well, you don't have to be, sad or whatever, and then we can just spend a day. I didn't get drunk last year. So that was kind of cool. But but also like I have like a little toast for him, That I think it's interesting that, a lot of people who have those kind of stories, who have passionate about those people who become successful. And that I've met so many people in the cannabis industry that they don't really care, and then they're just following just the money. And then I've heard that they're struggling. I think that's a lot of things that, you know, people maybe go back to one, to focus on to the basic.
I hope that we're getting back that way. And my story with my brother is kind of the same. Is that I think of it at weird times. First of all, like I think of him. I thought of him last night and today because I was going to come talk about it, and I figured it just brings up all the stuff.
Yeah.
But usually it comes at like a weird time, not just on his day, but
Yeah.
his birthday, obviously, then the day he passed, are different, weird emotional journeys. And sometimes I'm sad and sometimes I'm happy. I'm sad he can't meet my kids.
Yeah.
I'm sad his kids don't have a dad. Um, I'm sad that he introduced me to cannabis and then he kind of went the other way as well. And I like really went into it, and I probably got into it because of him. And at least initially, he was my brother and hookup and dealer and our first dealer. So, but the passion and all that came from him because he was so into it.
Yeah.
And then at the end, and through his journey, he wasn't anymore. Even though he still worked there, he like hated it, and he was on all these different things and
Yeah.
you know opioid everything, and it just sucks that he couldn't get back closer to it. And I think about that a lot. And
Yeah.
it doesn't like drive me because I just now I think about the future and like building a better for the community and my kids mainly, and having a place where people can have good jobs, stability, happiness, a little bit of like what we talked about with Sam. Just I want people to be happy
Yeah.
and search for that as opposed to the money maybe.
Yeah.
Like if you can just be a normal person and have a happy life, that's pretty okay.
Yeah.
Because not a lot of people are, you know, demon free or don't have struggles or anything like that. I think everyone, if you can get to a place mentally where you're working on yourself and you're a kind human being, that's pretty good,
Yeah.
you know.
How did you? I mean, is that? Do you think just the time heals, or like, do you think it's just still the process? For me, it's just like every year, like it's kind of sad too. Like it's a less and less, right? Like the day I heard from my situation, like I broke down, and I won't break down right now, but like it's just like a less and less, and that's kind of sad thing too. But it just kind of I don't know what to like. A people just think about how to deal with those kind of situation, but maybe nobody knows.
Like I said, for me, it's been 5 years. So
Yeah,
it was like 2018
yeah,
when he passed. And it's been different every year. I think I was angrier at the beginning. And now I'm just like sad
hmm,
about it. But I'm definitely, definitely still dealing with it all the time. I'll just wake up some weekends and just be like super sad about it,
yeah,
and then you're just down a rabbit hole of the whys and what could I have done. And, our situation was really weird because like I knew that he needed help and we like tried to get him into rehab and like I went to my parents and I was like, "Yo, I need your help." And they were like, "He's fine. He like goes to the gym and eats healthy." I'm like, "Yeah, that doesn't matter. Like
yeah,
you can do all these things and
yeah,
be addicted to drugs." So I always think back like, what if I would have said something different, or what if I could have convinced him myself, because obviously I had like come to Jesus moments with him, like you need help. And um like it didn't work, you know.
yeah,
And so sometimes I think about that, and then mainly I just think about like it would be cool if he were here this Christmas,
yeah, yeah,
or I could just give him a shout and a text and just be like, "Yo, what's up?" So like,
yeah,
that's what I think about. And
yeah,
and again, sometimes I'm happy and sometimes I'm really sad about it. So
yeah.
it's weird. It's for me, it's a weird healing journey.
It's like whenever good things happen, and then I think about that too. It's just like, oh, I wish I could call.
Yeah.
And then like he will answer. I mean, I still call sometimes.
I do too. I still, yeah.
Yeah.
Now someone has his number, so it's a little different.
Oh, it
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
That's kind of sucks. It's just and then like I don't know, like iPhone knows like my mood or whatever, like that pops up the photos and stuff. That's the most like I don't know, like iPhone has my brain or something, but it's just like they get you. Yeah, but like people, like what do you say to people that like cannabis is like like a devil's lettuce or whatever?
I say that they've never given it a fair shot and they
Yeah,
don't understand where it's at in today's society. And a lot of people that they probably know use cannabis.
yeah,
The majority of people, have someone or use cannabis themselves or know someone closely around them that uses cannabis. It's just not a worse uh, choice than drinking all the time or smoking cigarettes or, God forbid, the myriad of prescription drugs people are on, from Xanax to Valium to all the opiates. It's terrible. and
yeah,
and a pill for everything, really. I mean, there's a multitude of pill for every kind of issue. There's you know my dad takes 8-10 pills a day, and like Sam said, he's up to 13 pills for a
yeah,
day, and it's like that's insane.
yeah,
you know
yeah. I mean, there's like I think chemical balances, and then like I mean, I don't know, like do you think cannabis for everybody or like everybody?
No,
Yeah,
not even for everyone at all times. Like
yeah,
sometimes you don't need it.
right,
Sometimes you need to lean in.
right,
Sometimes you need to be more healthy and holistic. And
yeah,
sometimes you need to be, I think it really is more spiritual side for me, at least, than just like the daily release. It's kind of like routinely spiritual. Like it's my me time. It is like, like the ad stuff we talked about, but like it's my little escape.
yeah,
And so whether I could think about my brother, whether I can think about something creative at work,
yeah,
or just being a better dad, or like what are we going to get him for Christmas, or
Mhm.
what kind of appetizers we're going to make. I'm big
Yeah.
on cooking, so I'm like racking my brain for appetizers for Christmas Eve. We do all appetizers and have this big table of like
What are you
snacks,
cooking?
all kinds of stuff. We make like brat boards and charcuterie. We'll
Nice.
do stuffed mushrooms. We'll do some noodle dishes,
Yeah.
whatever that is. We'll do some dumplings.
Yeah.
Yeah, fresh bread,
Yeah.
random stuff.
So like how old is your kids?
2 and 4.
2 and 4.
Yeah.
So do they know what you do?
Yes,
Okay.
very much so.
How do you explain them what you do?
Daddy helps people in the neighborhood. He
Oh,
loves
that's
my neighborhood shirt. He
yeah.
loves my neighborhood hat. So he knows that I work with plants and help people. I showed him the bags and we talk about it.
Yeah.
I talk real talk with my kids. I don't like baby them
Yeah.
into some unrealistic fantasy world.
Right.
I want them to be very functional people. They don't have to be amazing at school.
Yeah.
I just want them to be really like in tune and present and good people.
Yeah.
So we have real talks. He wants to come really bad to work with me, and I said he can't.
4 years old?
He's 4. Yeah.
Want to work for
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. He just wants to come and check it out. I don't know if he wants to get into the hard labor yet, but he wants to come and check it out. So
That's awesome.
we're going to take him to the office first and start
Yeah.
him that way. But
That's
he'll,
awesome.
I don't want him to follow my footsteps because it's been really crazy and hard, but hopefully he will and want to be in business for himself and, all that stuff. So I'm hoping that, he likes it. He does. I mean, he loves it.
Yeah, so like how do you like so I guess like parenting standpoint, like you said like shoot straight right to your kids, right? But like do you like okay, so like if your kids is consuming cannabis like whenever they get older or whatever, or like when do you introduce them to the product, or do you ever introduce them to the product?
I don't think I would introduce them, and I'm not there yet, so I don't
Yeah.
really know, but I've kind of thought about it, and I was just thinking
I was just
it's gonna
curious,
be organically introduced at school and stuff.
Yeah.
If they're interested in it, like, I don't know, like,
But it's like kind of like a sex talk and stuff,
yeah,
right?
no,
Like
I don't know. Is it 14? Is
I
it
don't
how
know.
it goes younger every year? You got to talk with them. I'm going to lay out the whole list of here's the things you can't do: weed, no vaping, no sneaking out. Like all the things. I guess I just
Yeah.
have a list.
Yeah. Did you
I,
talk about that?
not yet. Being straight shooter and honest doesn't mean you have to get into everything. Like I try to just like choose very wisely the conversations choices that I have with them. Yeah.
I was curious, like
Yeah.
those like people, like because a lot of many years, like kids, the parents is like weed is bad or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like that's normal. Like but like people working in the industry and then
Yeah.
like helping people, and I
Yeah.
was curious, like having kids, like you thought about it,
I do. I more think about like the stigma they face when they tell like their friends and everyone knows that, oh, his dad, works for a cannabis company, or,
Right?
that.
Is that happen?
I think that's happened in the past. I'm hoping every year we're, one step forward.
Like a
Like,
less and less.
yeah, it's less and less. And it's just like, this is par for the course. A lot of people probably work in cannabis that, that go to the school. So
Yeah.
I think that, there's thousands and thousands of jobs,
Yeah.
so it seems like, you probably know someone again that's in cannabis.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then like yeah, it's sometimes like I do have like weird things about like whenever I meet like a new people and stuff. Oh, what do you guys do? Or what like a marketing. And then I meet those people and like, yeah, we do cannabis marketing. And then some people look at us and like, oh, since it's Oklahoma. I'm like, well, that's how we make a living.
Yeah.
So like it's kind of weird. And then like yeah, I think that it's interesting how that the world has changed. But what do you think about that? Do you think it's gonna be legalized federally?
Yes.
When do you think that would be?
Within 5 years.
Within 5 years? What needs to be taking place?
The federal government needs to find a way to tax it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Find a way to tax it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that's a I mean Oklahoma itself, I don't remember how much it was exactly, but there's so much taxes coming from
Yeah.
cannabis.
I think it's $200 million so far.
Yeah. And then that's why
Yeah.
probably did you hear about they're like a building new stadium for Thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's come from that.
Sales tax. Yeah. I think it's like a % more sales tax. Like that's a lot.
Yeah,
But yeah, they've paid a ton,
yeah,
and you know, they've created a bunch of jobs, and we were paying crazy sales tax in Colorado and had all these jobs, and it was very positive economic impact.
mm,
Um, and I hope that we can do that, and we are doing that with Evoke in neighborhood.
mhm.
It's just growing, and hopefully we'll have 60, 70 people, and that's a big, they have kids, and so you're taking care of hundreds of people,
Yeah,
and then doing good stuff. And we did the coat drive and the food drive, and like it's all good. And the stuff with Sam, we got 2 more patients like that, just from reaching out to the community, people who had seizures and some varieties of that. So it's been really cool, and it's fun, and yeah, it's more fun than most jobs, I guess.
yeah.
You have more flexibility to do cool stuff. Like it's cool. People think you're cool. Today, Sam did like this rush order of t-shirts.
Oh, awesome.
So he just dropped them off up there. So I'm gonna run up there, grab them, throw them on order, and like it's cool. Like
That
most
is
people don't get to
awesome.
do that stuff.
I love connecting people. That's like all
Yeah.
about, right? Neighborhood and all that kind of stuff.
And Sam's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good guy. I mean, like he was. I mean, never seen those kind of like a super good human being. Just like he's just honest and all that kind of stuff. And they just like I don't know. It's like a stereotypical. I think that like what I mean stereotypical. I mean like he's from military background and all that kind of stuff. I never think of his character will come from like a military people, but also like I've been noticing like talking to a lot of people in this podcast, but also like a meeting because my job, like I meet so many different people. So like it just like where they come from, the background and how they look, like it's really don't. Because like if it's like I'm meeting with a cannabis owner, like some people like stereotypical things, and they don't think about how nice you are. They don't think they think about they're more like a short temper or whatever. Like they have a stigma about the cannabis owner too, right?
It's a stereotype that is often true.
Yeah.
So I can't even argue with them, honestly. There are a lot of
That's funny.
high people and people with short tempers and aren't very,
Yeah.
don't have very high emotional EQs. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of hubris. There's a lot of ego.
Yeah.
Everyone's the best. Everyone knows the most.
Yeah, I never heard. Can they smoke during work hours?
I mean, they do, but they can't smoke on premise.
Oh,
So
okay.
they just go to lunch and get high and
Yeah.
blaze a joint, whatever.
So
Most of
like,
them do little vape pens everywhere.
yeah.
We're just constantly yelling at people, just stop vaping and stop vape penning and just like, you know what I mean? They step outside, there's clouds. You go outside the clouds, everywhere
Yeah.
you go, these like smelly, stinky clouds. And not even just weed. They
Like
do
a
their little bars too.
strawberry
Strawberry, yeah,
bananas,
yeah.
whatever.
Like peach papaya clouds of terrible.
That's funny.
but-
Like, what do you say? Like, they come to work like super, super high. Like, what do you say to
So you better be on point today.
them?
Like they have gram quotas or like work to do. Like you better be on point. You can be high and have fun, but it's a full speed train.
Yeah.
So, that's about getting the right people.
Yeah.
Some people are very productive because it's like a lot of the jobs are like get in the zone and do repetitious things over and over and over. So that kind of leads itself into it.
So there's no like a write up for say, hey, you got too high.
we wouldn't have anyone to do any jobs. We wouldn't have any employees at all. If we drug tested, Yosuke, we wouldn't have any employees at all. Like 94% probably smoke weed. There's like 2 people who don't. I'm like, okay.
That's
One of them's
funny.
Wes. He's like, I don't like weed. I don't like it in my system. Makes me nervous. I'm like,
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But no, I was curious. Like, they like, is there a limit? Like to like, hey, don't get too high. Like
most of the time it's like coming back from lunch. Like, like we're giving you the break. We give you a break. We give them products every month to taste and all that stuff. Like,
yeah,
just a little moderation here, guys. You know what I mean? Like, do you have to get as high as possible every single day at lunch? Like, is that,
yeah,
how you're getting through your day? Because
Yeah.
like, I like smoking weed too. It's great.
yeah.
I love to smoke, but you know,
get
that's
it stuff
yeah,
done.
get it and get done. Don't
Yeah.
just sit in it. Don't just sit in the wallow in the smoke, right? You don't just sit in it. You move through it
Yeah,
and you keep
what's that
moving. Yeah.
conversation like? But
Yeah.
they already high, right? Do you
It's
wait till they come back?
it's funny because I've already like sold them their product
Right.
and talked to them about what they like about weed and stuff in the interview. So I feel like I have a good look at what people are doing and just be like, I try to get them a little like more into the life skills as opposed to the more into the weed.
Yeah.
Like weed's secondary to life. It's a cool part of life, but it is not all of life.
Yeah.
There are a multitude of other fun things out there, you know,
Yeah.
whether it be family, travel, cooking, whatever you're into, gaming,
Yeah.
you name it. That
Yeah.
you know, it doesn't all revolve just around weed. And I think a lot of times the weed culture thinks that everything it revolves around weed.
Yeah.
And I think that weed is like a great, amazing part of it, but
Yeah.
not the main look.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a culture to it, but it's not the main thing. It's just a whole bunch of stuff into it. And honestly, it's kind of funny because you're talking about, management people. It's like just teaching them how to do the life skill more than like a job, And then like I was wondering, like, do you, like, can you like kind of share like like the like a big like a conflict management type of situation? Like, is there like anything like, oh, like, oh, we had this issue with this person, but
Every
like
day.
but you're
Yeah.
proud of it, whatever,
I mean, it's usually the same, right?
Mm,
One person's angry at the other person. They think they didn't listen. I told you to do this. You didn't do this. You did X, Y, and Z.
mm,
And it always for me comes back to like, look, you guys, we're on the same team. We're trying to get the same thing accomplished. We're both gonna have to compromise and meet in the middle.
yeah.
You know, that's plain and simple. Neither of you is hyper right in this situation.
Yeah.
And you could have each understood each other's point a little bit more. But mainly we have to get it out together as a team
Yeah.
and move on. So it's
Yeah.
the same
Do you
lessons.
do you like talk to them individually or do you talk to them together?
Oh, depending on the situation,
Yeah.
they usually come to you individually about each other, and then you're like, I don't like, we don't want to do that. Let's get together in one room, hash it out, and then move forward. Like,
Yeah.
we don't want to have he said, she said, or this, that, or the other back and forth because you're wasting time, right?
Yeah.
And so all these things you want to confront heads up. Most people really want to procrastinate
Mm,
tough conversations,
yeah.
decisions. Am I going to fire this person? I'm like, look, it's inevitable. You already know whether you're going to fire him. It could be today or it could be 2 months from now and you wasted your time.
Yeah.
And then in those 2 months, you don't know who you could have hired or
Mm,
found to replace them. Maybe you could have found the best team member ever that would have moved up to be a manager already.
yeah.
So if you waste your time, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Just go with it and don't the paralysis by analysis.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people just like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to have that confrontation. They've earned it. They've done this. They've done that. But it's a dog eat dog world, right? It's
Yeah.
very serious out there, and
Yeah.
like you have to be, that serious when you run a business.
Yeah. You have to be honest. And then like most times, like what I find it is like that conversation, like the difficult conversation, it's better to have. And then also like most of the times, if you kind of explain to the people, say, hey, this is why, like I'm telling you this. Like even like I say the concept of like, hey, this ads don't look good, or like, hey, they're not talking about this way. Hey, let's put it in a different perspective, on the other side of perspective. Here's why, and then this is why that what you're doing right now doesn't really make sense for the company. Because like I had a one like one of my employees was doing some like a work and they get it done and then get it fast, and then like she was thinking about like trying to delegate but trying to like save money to not use a contractor or whatever. I'm like, well, thank you for trying to save company money, but if you do that, end of the day we lose money. Like I would say, I just kind of step by step explain, they say this is how company makes money. I think like it's kind of like a simple way to for me to know, because like I run the business, but like most people doesn't know how company makes money. So that it's just good things to like people like when I explain to her like a step by step, hey, this is how we make money, and then how we can be profitable, then how we can keep client, how we can make client happy, and then how that this will affect to their sales or whatever. That's how we're doing it. Even we spend more money,
Yeah.
end of the day we make, then she's like, oh, thank you for like explaining to me. And then she was like coming in crying or whatever. But then after that, like it was all good, you know? So I think it's just important for, I don't know, I guess managers, also even like other people who are have a conflict, they just have to like explain, because after like whenever they talk about, say, hey, this is how I feel, but if they don't explain detail enough, there could be like a half explanation, then that's what I think conflict arises the highest. Do you agree? Or
Yeah, when you're not even trying to see the other person's perspective,
yeah,
or you don't know the information to
yeah,
begin with, and you're like, well, yeah, I would have made a different decision had I known that information.
yeah,
Like I knew the numbers.
right,
So we put them all up on the whiteboards.
yeah,
We always have information and big bold stuff like to-do
yeah,
dates and all that stuff because people are visual,
yeah,
right? And if you see it over and over, you're like, okay, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. And I'm big on, track, rank, and publish. So you show them,
yeah,
and then you show them where they're at, and then you're like, good job, or hey, you need to pick it up. Like you met all your quotas, great job. That's
yeah,
all there is to it.
yeah,
It's not emotional. It's not like,
yeah,
oh, I like you or I hate you. It's like, yo, you met the numbers, amazing.
yeah, 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 for
So
sure.
that's business when you take the side out of it.
Yeah,
And then that's putting it on the spreadsheet. And then you got to humanize the spreadsheet to get to all the numbers you want.
yeah,
You got to get people on board with those things.
right,
And then you have a, high functioning machine that's working and,
Yeah.
and doing the right things.
for sure. And then like yeah, I'm curious, like how's like to run the business with five like leaders, like what, like I think like there's a lot of people just like have one people, but like you guys are like cool that they all brings like a great thing to the table. I think it's a unique situation. How do you like it?
I think it's better than most of the companies because it does give you more, talent, more input, more options for thoughts and, different things floating around. If there's just one person and that person gets stale, then the whole company's stale. Like that's a terrible place to be. Or if they're having a bad week, the company's having a bad week.
Yeah,
So I think there's a lot of ebbs and flows. And then there's always someone there to pick it up when you have a bunch of people who care.
right.
So that's been awesome.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then like end of the segment, I always ask two questions, and then one question is what is advice you give yourself 5 years ago? So like a 2018, it would be 5 years ago. Like what were you doing 2018?
I was on trial for all the stuff that happened in Colorado. I was facing like a racketeering charge, a criminal racketeering charge for organized crime, which I got indicted for and went to jail for. And yeah, that was 2018. I moved out here at the end of 2018 in December.
Mm.
And then I went to jail for 6 months. And then the day that I got home, my son was born.
Wow.
So that's my journey from 5 years. It's been pretty crazy.
That's crazy. What would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself, hang on for the ride. Yeah. Because you're going to be a dad and
So
just be open to it.
got you. So is that the why you can say like you were selling weed and stuff like before legalized publicly, or?
Oh, no, I got arrested once it transitioned. We built a huge company of stores and grows. We had 16 retail locations, 7 grow operations. And they said we broke the law by doing more than one transaction per day to the same person, even though that was the way the law was written. So they indicted us for that. Yeah.
Damn.
So I was fine on the black market. And then I thought I was good on this market. We were like #1 in Colorado, set all the sales records. Like I won Cannabis Executive of the Year. And then the state didn't love that.
Damn.
Yeah. We were like too high profile, I guess.
Yeah. Then
but that's the past. And,
yeah.
I learned from it and I tell myself, just keep trying. And the message was right. and maybe we did some shit wrong, but
Yeah.
it was so right. It's the same thing. We're just trying to help people, give back, spread the love.
Yeah.
So I would tell, just keep at it.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how do you see yourself 5 years from now? And then what would you tell yourself 5 years from now?
I hope that I'm happier and, taking care of myself. And I tell myself 5 years from now, give yourself a break. Don't be so hard on yourself, because that's kind of tends to what happened.
Do you think that you'll be working on neighborhood 5 years from now, or do you think that you're like going to like a different state, or like how do you see yourself?
I don't know. I don't think I'm leaving anytime soon, and I'm working on neighborhood and Evoke, and I love it. And yeah, developing some other stuff. But I'm here in Oklahoma, and I think my kids will be older and in school, and I don't know if I'm gonna be moving. But if an opportunity arrives, I'm not totally against it. So
I mean,
yeah,
9 years old. The kids will be 9 years old.
yeah,
Maybe
no,
have that talk.
it's wild. I hope we're still haven't had the talk, but that'll be 2029. So who knows what's happening in 2029?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then, you like Oklahoma? Do you like Oklahoma or Colorado?
I like Oklahoma now because I'm here, but Colorado's so beautiful. And it's so like, if I lived in the mountains or something, I'd be like, no way I'd live in Oklahoma. But it's no different than Denver. It's a big city, and Denver's in the flatlands. So it's not like it's in the mountains. So
yeah.
Do
you ever go back?
Once so far in 5 years.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I want to go to the beach. I want to go east and down, and I like the beach.
Nice.
So.
Yeah. I love beach too. I don't know, like you say, you don't like Southern California, but I like San Diego.
I like San Diego. I don't like LA. I love San Diego. If I win Powerball, I'm moving right to San Diego. Find me on the beach. Yeah.
Yeah, it's expensive to live.
It's very expensive, but that's the spot.
Yeah.
I got a couple of good buddies. My college roommate lives down there, and he loves it. He lives right by the University of San Diego.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And then how people can like search you, support you? What can they do for their listeners?
Check us out. Sign up for Neighborhood, neighborhoodflower.com. Check out Evoke. We love it. We love to have you. Check us out on Instagram. We're all over. About to blow up.
Perfect. Thank you guys for listening. And then whatever, like whenever you guys want to follow him, I put everything down the description. And if you guys are watching YouTube, please hit the like and comment, and then don't forget to subscribe. And if you guys are listening to iTunes or Spotify, please hit the 5-star review, and then make sure to download it. So whenever you're on the airplane or something, you can still listen to it. And that will help me. That will help the message we put it out on his story out to the public. More people, more eyes, more ears. That'd be great. Otherwise, see you guys next Friday. Peace out.